Right. Couple of other comments. One of the things that this site certainly has a pleasant, unexpected pleasure about, at breakfast time, you can have truly one of the best breakfasts in San Diego. There is nothing like 2 eggs, sunny side up, and fresh gopher meat to go with it. There's gophers beyond belief. We had a lot of good things happen out there. We had the Valley Center CERT team came out, did a very nice display. All of this is part of emergency communications. We had the 50-gallon drums that we use as anchor points for the towers. And those are filled with water. And you'll be seeing pictures of the Valley Center Fire Department fire truck out filling the containers for us. That was really nice. And hopefully we will be able to keep that site, as Mark was saying. It is a good spot. I mean, and furthermore, it's available. So hopefully we will succeed in that. Dennis. Now, one of the things that we had happen, a lot of you know the background to this. One of the Poway City Councilmen came out and saw us. And in the process, happened to mention, or happened to wonder, why don't you do a field day at Poway? And mentioned that the city has a very nice, large section of property that is completely undeveloped on top of a mountain that has unlimited visibility on all 360 degrees. So we're going to go look at that and see if we might have an alternate site that we could use also. Yes. Anybody have anything else about field day? Good. We're going to do something a little bit unusual here this evening. Unusual in the sense that I think we don't pay attention to this often enough. Some of you have heard me talk about Elmer Awards. Who is unaware of what an Elmer Award is? Everybody knows what an Elmer is? Good. I have some Elmer Awards to distribute tonight. The award wording is the same on all of them, so I'm going to read what the award says, and then everybody, of course, gets the same thing. But it says, this is from the ARRL. The ARRL award says, ARRL Winter Program. This award is presented to blank in recognition for providing unselfish and benevolent assistance to the novice radio operator, carrying on the time-honored tradition in amateur radio of sharing knowledge and providing guidance and support. You are ensuring that others may experience the wonder, excitement, and friendship of amateur radio. This expression of gratitude is presented by, the whole business of this hobby, and the thing that I believe keeps us on the teeter-tottering edge of becoming irrelevant, is how many young minds do we attract to the hobby. I see a lot of gray hair out there, mine included. As I tell people, the wall is coming closer and closer. So unless we all dedicate some effort to bringing in some new blood, this may not be around forever. This first award came in 2 months ago, and unfortunately I sidetracked myself and wasn't able to present it in a timely manner 2 months ago as I planned to do it. Conrad, would you come up here and join me, please? A lot of you know that Conrad, because of his health problems, decided that he didn't want to be the technical chair anymore. But we all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to this young man, keeping that infrastructure operating, going up there at all sorts of odd hours just to keep us on the air. So Conrad, from me, this is an ARRL Elmer Award for your efforts. Greg, come up here, please. This young man has taken on the challenge of planning and managing a field day for 4 years now. I think you had a pretty good instructor for it. This Elmer Award is for his efforts in getting people involved with Field Day. And Elmering, a lot of the kids who show up. And so it's my pleasure to present you on behalf of the Palomar Amateur Radio Club, all of you folks in Elmering. Mr. Past President, Dennis. This young man stood up here for how many years? Too many? Managed to maintain a very harmonious relationship with the community, with all the hams, and has done an incredible amount of work in keeping all our material of a tow wizard. That doesn't happen unless somebody really cares. Dennis, my pleasure to present you an Elmer Award on behalf of the Palomar Amateur Radio Club. I think it's important for us as a hobby to recognize the folks that, remembering this is a volunteer operation, keep things like this happening. John, put a table. This thing looks like annex to Dayton.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. AK6R brought some goodies here. Not all of the stuff is donations this time around. So if you pick up stuff on this end of the table, be sure to talk to AK6R over there, because it's not all free. Well, not free, but donated stuff. And there's some items here, a 6-meter ground plane antenna, it looks like, and some other antennas. You need to talk to the proper one. Who's that? Back there, okay. And then the club donation stuff. All this stuff came from Art McBride's estate. I would appreciate finding good homes for it. That was the request by Art, that we find good homes for this stuff. After this month, basically it's going to start getting dumpstered, because I can keep it forever. So even if you think you might have a need for it sometime in the future, please come up here and grab some of it. The only thing I ask is that I want my tubs, plastic tubs, are precious to me. But other than that, everything else is available. And be reasonable on the club donations, that's all I ask. Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, you mentioned it earlier. But, okay. Yeah, these are donuts for putting chokes on power lines, or reducing EMI noise on power cords. You can also put them up a piece of coax cable and make a valve out of them. Very useful, good pieces of technology.
Okay, let me go through and introduce some of our folks. Peter Sight, Dennis, whom you already saw. Repeater Tech, Mark, in charge of what the electrons are doing right now at the site. Jim, any 6 soda? Oh, okay, I haven't seen you. And Greg, of course, our other director. Al and his beautiful wife, way in the back, ready to take your monies as a membership chair. Richard, our treasurer, always happy to take your money. Gary, our secretary, Joe, our vice president, way back there with the camera, doing his thing. And then you've seen me before, so I am who I am. We had several people at last Saturday's test upgrade. Is anybody here from that group? Nobody. Joe, can you amplify what? Please stand up. Congratulations. Do we have any visitors tonight? Would you please stand up and identify yourselves? Dave, go ahead and start. I didn't hear you, I was busy. You're starting out, where do you live? Vista, okay. There's a lady. Hi, Diane, welcome. Yes? Oh, wow, congratulations. Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you take his money? Congratulations. Anybody else? Do we have any new members in the club? I was just going to say we got one. Oh, and there's a young lady here too. Congratulations, Leslie. We hope to mentor you into putting up a tower with some high frequencies antennas on it. Oh, shoot. What else can you say? Oh, Mike, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike. Okay, without further ado, Dave, if you would like to come up and tell us what is going on with our frequency spectrum management.
Good evening. I'm Dave Elder, K6TVF, and I am running on the Republican ticket for the President of the United States. I want to thank Charlie and Joe and Dennis for inviting TASMA. We're doing an outreach. This is the first time that TASMA has ever actually gone out into different organizations to try to explain what we really do. So we put together a presentation that might give you a little bit of insight on what we're doing. Could you go ahead and go to the next page? So TASMA stands for 2 Meter Area Spectrum Management Association. It's, again, this is an amateur community outreach, and if you have any questions or have any interest in TASMA, you can go to the website. It is www.tasma.org. So myself, I'm Dave, K6TBF, and we have Tony, raise your hand, KJ6UFG, which will go through the presentation also and explaining on the technical side. So I do the administrative, and Tony does all the rest of the work. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the technical committee, who really does most of the work in the organization, we would not function. So Tony is a major part of what we do in TASMA. So this is the organization. We have a chairman, which is myself. We have a board. We have a technical chairman, which is appointed by the chairman of TASMA. And he essentially guides the technical committee into the different roles of coordinations. We do also have an internet service manager and also a database manager. And I will have to say that the internet service manager is a very busy person on a constant basis, updating our website. We made some major changes, and he's done an excellent job. We're very, very proud to have him updating and modifying what we have now. And we'll show you later in just a second. Also, he's been doing the database management. Now, I don't know if anybody realizes that we have over 300 repeaters. Throughout Southern California, you're literally are the librarian for all the data and what kind of systems that they have in different parts of Southern California. And it's a major job to keep that up on a constant basis. Next, please. This is just a brief look at some of the officers in our organization. We have 5 board members at this time. We did have 7, and what we've done is we've actually did a review and reduced our board positions by 2 because some of them were redundant. So we decided it was better to sort of split the work a little bit. Next, please. Now these are the guys that do all the work. I'm very proud of them. They're very professional. They literally take on different cases. What we do is the chairman actually assigns them a specific case study to essentially evaluate each coordination. So these guys are really busy, they're really good. If any of you feel like you want to join TASMA as a technical person on the committee, we'd be more than happy to have you. We're always short-handed, and we'd love to have you. More women, by the way. Next. I just wanted to share Sean Rigel, AJ6B. He's been a major push organization for the past couple of years. If it wasn't for him, also for Chuck, our chairman in the technical committee, we wouldn't be having some of the major changes and doing the really great things that we're doing as an organization. So Sean is a really great guy. Okay, next slide, please. So, what is TASMA? Well, TASMA is a volunteer organization, amateur radio operators. Our goal is to minimize interference throughout the spectrum. It's done primarily in coordinating and improving frequencies for repeater operation and developing plans. TASMA tries not to suggest or issue frequencies. In other words, what we ask the public to do is if you go out and you look at the list on our website and you want a repeater pair, it's going to be really your job to really go and look and see, well, what might be available or might work in your area, and then you would come to us and we would do the analysis. So we also, TASMA also attempts to mediate and any interference issues and assist the repeater owners when possible. Now, when there is an interference problem, it's always best to go to the other, offending system to talk to them first. And that's the first route. The second route is to come to us, and then we will go ahead and try to mediate that problem. We will look at that technically. So TASMA is an organization for the entire amateur community. Membership is open to any licensed amateur with privileges at any bands. Next slide, please. So we also set technical standards for the band. And I highlighted some in the red because there's a lot of different standards that we hold the technical group to certain standards to make sure that there is no interference. And some of those are essentially the deviation on your repeater, and also the maximum transmitter frequency error, plus or minus 300 hertz. Then you have to have a stable frequency, right? You don't want to go in either low or high in frequency and interfering with an adjacent pair. Next slide, please. So what we did is just an example. We did a case study, and so I thought maybe I'd sort of share that with you. So in Los Angeles, a VHF repeater operation was receiving interference from Orange County VHF repeater. It moved its antenna to a higher location. So repeaters shared a common frequency pair, and no other frequencies were available in the area. The complaint was filed with TASMA and acted as an intermediary in an attempt to resolve that issue. Again, it's always better to try to go to that person first, or group. So the Orange County repeater changed the antenna from Omni to a Yagi, reduced the transmitter power, and used the CTCSS tone. And the problem was resolved. It was fairly simple. So this is actually what came from one of our studies, actually one of our real cases. And this is very common. So this is the area that we cover in Southern California. I've asked my technical committee to look at redistricting this a little bit differently because my understanding is the San Andreas Fault is in the wrong place on this map. So my concern is that if we ever have an earthquake, it's going to change dramatically. So Tony is going to take that on as a project. Next, please. So this map actually shows that there are other organizations that we have to deal with. And how do you deal with some of these borders? You don't want to have border skirmishes when you have these repeaters that are pretty much right on the border. So we have to work with different organizations, and you can see NARC and CARCON and SNRC over in Nevada. And then, of course, us, there's 220 SMA and Scrub on the 440 side. Next, please. And these are some of the organizations that we deal with. And not only these coordination groups, but also the ARRL. Because the ARRL has an interest in what we do. And one organization that you probably don't really hear a whole lot what we do is the NFCC, which is the National Coordinators Council. Next, please. So when we look at a frequency coordination, in order to make that determination, and TASMA has to have some data. So in other words, we need some information from an organization that wants to put up a repeater. We have to have specific antenna height and transmitted power. So we need that data to actually do an analysis. So these items all affect to one degree or another the repeater's area of coverage. So TASMA will review that data on a new repeater, and also not even just a new repeater, but if you make changes. We always have to look at those changes, because if you make modifications in your system, then we have to look at it again, because those changes could actually be different than the first time that you actually filed the RFC. So essentially what we'll do is we'll do the analysis and look at the sponsors of the nearby code channels, if there's another repeater system. This way that the sponsors of existing repeaters are given the opportunity to discuss the new repeaters and report any issues during the test coordination period. So once a new coordination is issued, there's usually a limited construction period. Usually it's about 60 days to 90 days, and so that you can make sure that there is no interference with other systems. Next slide, please. So this is a 2-meter operator submits a request for a frequency coordination. It's called an RFC, and this is the form. And all the data that's on this form is things like antenna height, cable lengths, cable insertion losses, power outputs. All those things are things that we need, and also, by the way, location. And if you don't have that particular information, that's very difficult to run the plots. So we need that information then to go through that, verify. There's no interference. And next slide, please. Okay, so this is the TASMA reviews the RFC and submits the by repeater operator. The checks reviewed by repeaters that have seen or close frequency pairs. And we do a plot of the coverage area based upon repeater details in the RFC. And we determine potential for interference with other repeaters. And advises repeater operators of results. And if favorable results, then no interference potential. We issue a test coordination letter to the operator, and it allows the build out for 2 to 3 months. So during the test coordination period, if no complaints are filed with TASMA by the other repeater operators, the TASMA submits a final coordination letter. That's like the diploma that you get when you graduate from college, right? So we would submit the final coordination. That gives you the legal right essentially to operate. So any changes by the repeater operators, for instance, like ownership, or technical aspects, again, we need to understand what that is, and you should probably file an RFC at least to give us some updated information. You make an antenna change, you move it to a different place on a tower, or if it's a little higher, a little lower, if you're changing power levels, those kind of things, it's always a good idea to give us some information so that we can verify that there is no interference issues. So my partner in crime is going to go through the next technical slides, which I'll probably not have enough information to be smart about. So.
Good evening, everybody. This is a list of actually Palomar's repeaters. You can see from there you've got quite a few repeaters, and this is basic information into our database. One of the plots we're going to do, I'm going to show you a plot in a minute here of some of the things we do in the technical community. We do comparison plots, not only the new repeater coming up, and in this case, we're actually up in the choose your own, just to give you an idea of some of the things that we do, but also the other sites that are on the same frequency or possibly nearby or adjacent frequencies to see if there's any potential for interference. This one here is actually your 075 epic, and this is just a plot of how the coverage area is. The next one. This is actually the North Hollywood Hills, which is on the same frequency as well. You can see there's a little overlap down the south part of Orange County. There's a little overlap, but it's not enough to where it be a problem. So it shouldn't be a problem. Unless you have a user that happens to be there that's actually communicating down here or up there as well. Actually, you can even generate your own. So we basically use Ring and Mobiles that we use. Or if you want the plots, I'll send you copies of plots if you want to put them on the website. So I do have copies of all your plots. So if you don't want to put them on the website, just let me know. I'll send them out to you. Playing against you, Dave. Sorry. Okay, these are some of the same repeaters. This is some of the part of the study we do. We actually look at the repeaters on the same frequency to see if there's any potential in another county or any bleed over from anywhere else. We always look at geographic separation, like hills and stuff like that, will help, so we can actually squeeze in more repeaters. Obviously, we've got 300 repeaters and only 74, 75 pairs, so there's not a lot of potential, so we try to get as many repeaters in as possible for the communities. Next slide. And we also look at the adjacent frequencies in case somebody over deviates or if there's something really close. We do have some reverse pairs that sometimes get a little close and cause problems, so we look for that as well too. So we'll look at the next slide. And then we also check for the reverse side as well too, the reverse of the frequency. Not all the information is available to the public. I mean, there's a lot of information on the back end that we have. We obviously keep everybody's information private. Get into the next slide. And another thing we wanted to bring up, actually, because we run into this a lot, is what is harmful interference? Basically, harmful interference is more than just being able to hear another repeater in the distance. We get a lot of complaints that say, oh, harmful interference, harmful interference. And you're only hearing a repeater that's further out. That's not really harmful interference. So, then at the okay, thank you. Next one. This is the FCC's definition. When an interference which endangers the function of a radio navigation service or other safety services seriously degrades or obstructs repeatedly interrupts a radio communication service operating according to radio regulations. A lot of the stuff everybody's saying is harmful interference is not really harmful interference. It's just, we've got a very tight spectrum. There's various other things that can cause that. And there are very few clear frequencies in Southern California. So obviously we have to share if we want to have the number of repeaters that we do. So. It's not just arbitrary hearings, it's fully capturing your repeater, which actually happens quite frequently. And Dave was talking about when people modify their sites, they'll move their antenna up a little bit higher. They don't realize the impact that has, because now you may be clearing a ridge that's killing another repeater site a little bit further away. Because as you all well know, VHF goes a really long way, just on a few watts. And small changes can have huge impacts on other repeater sites. The following are not categorized as harmful interference: the ability to hear another repeater when your repeater is not transmitted, spurious emissions from another station which do not prevent the uninterrupted use of the repeater and effective communications thereof, and atmospheric weather conditions like tropo and stuff like that. We got a lot of that last year, where tropo was interfering with repeaters and the signals were traveling a lot further. So, next slide. Guidelines for complaints on harmful interference. Obviously, a complaint must be submitted in writing to TASMA. All complaints must contain the following information: the nature of the interference, intermod, adjacent channels, over deviation, occurrence of the frequency interference, locations of the interference, we see multiple locations. Next slide, please. And steps which have been taken to resolve the interference, i.e. contacting the trustee of the other site if it's a site issue. Copies of all related documents, including coordination documents, what you believe to be the cause of the interference, and what you believe can be done to resolve the interference on both sides. We obviously want to try to get everybody to work together, because I mean, this is a hobby, this is fun, this is not fighting siblings. Obviously we want to try to work with one another, so we want to keep it civil. So when things get a little heated or we can't find a discussion, resolution, that we end up at TASMA have to do the mediations. Anybody have any questions about interference or what's considered harmful interference? Or? I haven't seen a complaint. If you could resubmit it, and we'll address it. I'm fairly new. Most of the board members have been. Yeah, if you have the information, please send it to me. Seriously, I will look at it. I've only been there a couple of years. I have not seen anything that Mark has. I'm definitely willing to look at it. So. Okay, can you send that information to me, or give me information? I don't have a record, or if you give me information on, I'll look up what the record was. Because actually, I'm not aware of it, and I have no problem with plotting it. So. Like I said, send me the information. Seriously, I will plot it. That's not us. Yeah, please do it. Because like I said, I want to get these things resolved. We do get a lot of interference complaints. We go through a lot of them, and we actually clear up most of them. So most of the time, something the transfers out of deviation, or this antennas have been moved, or people move their repeater site and don't tell us. Those kind of things. In fact, we're running one right now in LA where they had it on one side of the hill, they moved on the other side of the hill, and didn't tell us about it, and all of a sudden we got all kinds of interference complaints, and we're like, hey, wait a minute, you weren't supposed to be there. Any other questions or? We don't have legal, but we can actually de-coordinate them, and then at that point, you can go to the FCC, and the FCC will do something about it. Because you basically, if you have uncoordinated repeater interfering with a coordinated repeater, the coordinated repeater has preference over the uncoordinated repeater. Right, you just have to start with the complaint form first, and then go through the procedure, and then once we go through the procedure, then we de-coordinate them, and then you can go to the FCC, lodge a complaint, and then they will go after them. So. Yeah, they do go after people. How long it takes, I have no idea. Very few people want to go to that level. Most of the things we found that interference, we've been able to work out something either with shifting the antennas or adjusting something, or we find out their site is not set up correctly. We have an engineering problem, and when you fix the engineering problem, the problem goes away. And this is a copy of the interference report form. It's specifically used and gives the information on it, and we'll process it, because we actually assign case numbers that actually track through the entire process. So, and that's the second half of the form with the information. And you can actually go to this URL link, and actually I will bring up the actual line form. You can actually fill it in online, and then submit it, and email it in. And the next one. This is the plots that we do. This is one example of the park plot, the 730 map. You can see the coverage area they had. You go to the next one. You actually drill in and actually get terrain information to look at where the mountains are, any kind of anything to be an obstruction. If basically if you want these, I can actually send you copies of these. And then go to the next slide, you actually drill in even more detail. Normally I do about 250 miles. What I do is I move the range out to the point where it actually starts fuzzing out the yellow. And that gives a good idea, because the green area is actually where you get good signal theoretically. Obviously there's variances in RF, as everyone knows, but that is theoretical good coverage area in the green. That one's set for 250 kilometers. You can set it for whatever. Actually, depending on the site, some of the sites, if they're more geographically locked in, I'll actually drop it down to 50 kilometers, like the really regional ones. Like they don't have a lot of coverage, but any site that's more of a high level site, like Palomar, obviously we've got about 250 kilometers. Sometimes we have to up to 300 kilometers on something. They have really, really long range. Right. Like antenna, you put a new antenna up that's a little higher dB, you change the coax, or you go from coax to hardline, that'll have a variance, change the power, that'll change the parameters. I mean, small changes you think about, it can have huge impacts in coverage. I mean, we've got repeaters that want to come online that we denied down in San Diego here, that they're pushing out 5 watts on a teeny little antenna, but they're up on a high hill, they're blasting all the way into LA. I mean, literally creaming into LA. It's amazing how far you can get with a few watts and a lot of height. So. And then, like I said, this is a little more detail. If you go to the next slide, I think yeah, it's even more detail of the coverage areas. And then I'll pass this back to Dave. This is basically on what we're doing at TASMA. Like I said, we're a whole new crew, definitely not the old gang. So.
Could be the position on the tower. We're not doing this. Look. Look. you, so we will work with you. We'll work with you. Okay. Here's, we will work with you. The last group that I didn't work well with, this is what happened. No, they gave me the group. I'm just kidding. Seriously, I've been in TASMA for about 5 years. I've watched it go through some major changes. The last 2 years, okay, or the last year and a half, we've made some major strides. We've been doing a lot of good work. We want to continue that work. And that's why we're here today doing this outreach to make sure that we're doing what you guys want. We're not going to do this stuff in the dark. We want to make sure that we're talking to the community and understand what's going on. And that means go out to each individual organization and find out what's going on. If we don't know, we can't fix it. And the political stuff is it's out the door. We're not doing politics. We're doing real technical studies, real technical stuff that we need to do to help the community. Okay? So no good buddies kind of stuff anymore. Okay, so some of the things that we've done, again, this is just just some bullets that I put together, some of the things we've done in the last few months. So we changed some of the bylaws recently. We took some of the some of the board members that essentially weren't really doing much in their positions, and we thought, well, it might be better to take those positions and remove them. And take those jobs essentially that they were supposed to be doing and give them to some of the other board members. So we streamlined the board a lot better than what it was before. TASMA continues to strive to be transparent. Okay, so we're open with the members. If you go to our website, you can see the minutes. What most of these different organizations don't do is they don't show what's going on in the technical side. So if you go to our website, you can literally look at everything that happens in our technical committee. It'll tell you all the decisions, it'll tell you what we're doing. So it's very transparent, and we're going to stay that way. Next, please. So something else that we're very proud of is we've made some changes in our website. We've got a real-time membership web updates now. So if you want to join the organization, if you just have to show up at a meeting, our webmaster just goes in and essentially just puts your name in immediately, and it just, boom, you're there. So if you're a member today, it shows up on the website today. You can look up your membership right on the website. It shows that you're there. We used to have a major delay. It was you send your news and your form into a PO box, and then you'd have to go to our treasurer and then also our secretary, and then months later, you've got people saying, "Where's our member?" And now it's instantaneous. It's great. We're able to vote online also. So let's say that you can't make it to a meeting and you need to vote, and you are a TASMA member. When you get your email essentially for the newsletter, and you have some things that you have to vote on, you go to the website, and essentially you can vote as you. In other words, it knows who you are. It gives you this code, essentially. You can go and you can go and cast your ballots. So you don't necessarily have to go to a meeting if you don't want to. It'd be nice if you did, but it's a lot easier for a lot of people that didn't get to vote before. We're able to pay renewals online. We have a PayPal function now. So if you, again, there's no more delay. You can actually get online and do a PayPal. That's just great. We've gone to paperless in regards to our newsletters now. We used to send out newsletters. I had a real first opportunity. I really wanted to bring some information for you folks and some nice color pictures and hand them out to everybody. And I went into Office Depot, and essentially I need about 60 copies of the band plan, it's colored. And I says, how much is it going to be? 64 cents per page per side. And I said, oh my goodness. So the fact that we don't go and send out color newsletters anymore. VI, the U.S. Postal Service, is saving TASMA a lot of money. So that's just one of the changes we made. It's all electronic. So also the membership renewals are being sent out automatically via email. So when you're, instead of waiting, you know, oh shoot, it's that time for us to pay our dues. What happens is it automatically will go out and say, hey, you know, it's time for dues. If you really want to stay with us, you can. If you don't want to, it's okay. But it prompts you. Next slide, please. So we have TASMA has some real challenges. The band plan is there's just no more room for repeaters. It's almost impossible to squeeze any more repeaters from Southern California. So TASMA is looking for different ways to be able to try to help communities either try to put a pair up or to acquire a pair. But we need you as an amateur radio community to, oh, you know what? That particular repeater that's been on the air for X number of years hasn't been on the air for the last 5 years. You know, those kind of things actually give opportunity for others if you just happen to come across it. So it's a challenge for TASMA, for our technical committee to be able to manage that. Next slide, please. This sort of shows you what we have. These are the pairs for the repeaters right now. We have essentially, I believe, 74 pairs available. Next page. Again, here's another set. And by the way, some of these are sort of grandfathered. People are sort of reversed because of interference issues. You know, we tried to put the band plan together so that the input and outputs, you know, are workable through the band, but it turns out there's a lot of present repeater systems that can't do that because of interference. So there are some folks that are actually reversed to the plan. Next, please. So we have 74 2-meter repeater pairs available and over 300 2-meter repeaters out in Southern California. That means there's a lot of co-channels, and that's really tough for us to manage. And so you can see that we always get complaints of different types, you know, reference to interference, but we also have a lot of requests for people that want pairs. Next, please. Okay, new technologies. You guys just got how many? Oh, Jesus. I can't even take numbers. Damn, these are nice. Okay. Okay, so are you having thermal issues? You said you're testing them? I know that you can't run them over at least 20 watts, right? I mean, if they'll be on 20 watts, there's problems. Yeah. Okay. Have you guys had problems with? Have you guys had problems in reference to your duplexers and trying to, you know? I mean, I've seen talk to people that have essentially the transmitter is getting into the receiver, even if you have a nice set of duplexers. So have you guys had that issue? Okay. Okay, I know that if you don't have a good 50 ohm load on the other end, it just doesn't work. I fought that for 2 months, so I discovered that the hard way. So, all I'm trying to, the reason I have this up here is we have a lot of new technologies that are hitting into Southern California. And let me tell you what's happening. What's happening is this is, I'll be honest with you, this is the greatest deal. If you are coordinated, okay? If you're not coordinated and you do not have a pair, guess what? We just had a rush of RFCs saying, you know what? We just got this repeater, but we don't have a pair. And what do you think is going to happen? You're going to go, what am I going to do with this? Okay. Yeah. Next slide, please. So I was actually at Charlie's house the other day, and I discovered this was his vehicle. Did you know that? He's got this here. So I've seen this. I saw this, and I thought this was great because this actually really sort of is an epitome of saturation in Southern California. You know. And by the way, the owner of this car, he's giving me an RFC for all of these. Next please. So this is what I think is really interesting. These are all the 2-meter repeaters in Southern California. And you can see how they're just all over the place. But you'll see something a little interesting here if you look real careful. I didn't know that we had floating repeaters out there. You notice that? And did you know that we have, it looks like we've got some illegal drug running repeaters down here. We must have slipped by or something. Could be. So you can see how saturated this is. I thought this was a great way of showing you how saturated Southern California is. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so you see anything interesting here? This guy right here. Yeah. Yeah. So this is why it's so important for us to have updated information when things change. I mean, we have people come to us and they have problems, but we have outdated information. We don't have to go out and get this information. I saw this and I just thought that was great, so I just thought I'd share that with you folks. Next slide, please. So, repeater owners. Let's say, who benefits from TASMA? Well, is it really a repeater owner? Well, yeah, they do. Right? How about the amateur community? Maybe, I guess so. How about the local government and residents and businesses within the range of the system? Let's go to the next slide. Well, the answer is everybody does. And that's even non-amateurs. Let me explain. The reason for the way I feel about this is that if you didn't have TASMA, you wouldn't have a repeater, right? If you didn't have a repeater, you wouldn't have a bunch of amateurs utilizing the repeater. But guess what? If you have a natural disaster, you have an earthquake, guess what? The community is benefiting from the fact that you have that repeater system here, operational, and it's coordinated. So, we feel that TASMA really plays a part in making that happen for the community. So I thought I'd share, if anybody's really interested, this is our schedule for some of our meetings. Our general meetings are open to the public here. We have one coming up in August, so if you're interested in seeing what we do, or what we don't do, either way, you can, it'll be on August 1st. Next slide. And this is the location. So we're at the Walnut Public Library. You can go to the website, again, TASMA.org, and you can get the information necessary to go to this meeting if you'd like to see what's going on with TASMA. Next slide. And again, this is what the website's supposed to look like. By the way, they got a problem with the website, so it doesn't look like this now, but you can still get the same information. It's only $15 a year. So if you want to join and help us out, we welcome you with arms open. We do have some forms on the table if you feel like you want to join, or if you can go to the website and download a form. Next slide. Any questions? Yes. Actually, we do. In fact, we encourage that. There's been there's sort of a push for us to go out to the different clubs and to send out letters to say that, we support your organization as repeaters. Can you help us? So we're sort of hoping that we're going to try to do it. Again, this is part of the outreach that we're going through. Anything else? Yes.
So you can vote online. What do you vote on?
So there was some, I think it was last year, we voted on a band plan change where we changed some of the, correct me if I'm wrong, is some of the simplex frequencies and the way that they operated. Is that correct? So, here's a real good case in point. If I have At this point, we'll be about 60 or 70 members in our organization, and we are looking at a major band plan change. Guess who's voting to make that decision that maybe you won't like? We had a lot of people that were utilizing some simplex frequencies. We tried to get it out to everybody that were making those changes. But the people who really vote for that band plan change is the TASMA members. You don't have to be a repeater owner, just an amateur radio operator. So if you have any feedback in reference to some of the changes, we ask for that feedback from the community. So you have an opportunity to input to any of the changes that we make in the band plan if we make those changes. And you also, by the way, if you don't like what I'm doing as chairman and you're a TASMA member, guess what? You can vote me out. You can bring somebody else in that's going to help. The Palomar Radio Club or something. Charlie, there you go. So it's a good thing to be a member, or at least you get the newsletters. You can see what's going on. Of course, you can go up to the website and you can see the newsletters. We're all doing the best we can to do what's right for the community. It's always great to have you guys. Any other questions? Scrubber, 220 SMA. So we're going to make a comparison between Scrubber and TASMA. Does anybody know how many meetings that Scrubber has a year? Yes. Yes, 1. So if you guys have a problem, you come to me in a meeting and says, Dave, I got a problem on what you guys are doing here, and we need to fix this, but I'd like to understand what you're doing with this in some of the meetings. Well, guess what? You wait 1 year. 1 year. And guess what? They're all just repeater owners. So you have a private club of only repeater owners that make those decisions. So it's not necessarily for you as a community, it's just strictly a community of just the repeater owners. So TASMA doesn't do that. Yes, sir. I don't have much. I don't have much background in the WireX. But you're talking about the Yaesu WireX. So let me give you a little scenario that just occurred recently. There was some interference that was going on against a specific repeater. We were trying to locate that interference. We just happened to get an RFC in for somebody who was trying to ask for that specific frequency that's being interfered with. But the location of where that particular RFC was and where it was supposed to be was not where we were listening to some of the interference. Turns out that, yes, that repeater was where he said it was, but there were 2 other repeaters that were linked via the internet, an echo link, and they were in conference mode. And what they were doing is they were increasing their area of operation by linking them and all coming up in a conference mode. So that means instead of being in an area where they can only, where we might look at them as a possible coordination, they were actually all the way through Orange County and LA and into Riverside, and they were covering a huge area, but they were supposed to be in one small area elsewhere. So WireX could be an issue in that respect. I mean, that's one scenario, I guess. But this is new. We can look into that. And again, it's your input. We can ask those questions. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Any other questions? Any other questions? I want to thank Park for their hospitality. Charlie, thank you for allowing us to come up here and give you a little spiel on what we're doing. And Dennis, thank you. And Joe was an instigator. He told me if I didn't show, he was going to break my other leg. I have to say I was a little lost. I left early and came up here around 2 o'clock because I didn't know what to expect with traffic. And so I was just trying to figure out where I was going. You know how many parks there are in this area? He says I'm going to a park meeting, and I looked at 8 or 9 different parks. You know how many parks I had to go to? And then when I finally got here, I couldn't find a place to park. Sorry, Charlie, I just had to.
Dave and Tony, thank you very much for the presentation. I think that it's certainly giving me some insight into something I don't know very much about, so appreciate it. The one thing I forgot to mention earlier, the park picnic is coming up in August. Dennis, you want to mention on that more than I know? Do we have a date yet? No date. 23rd, probably. Do we have a location yet? We'll go out to Valley Center and do it out in Valley Center. See, that's up at, right. But anyhow, we are headed to that time to get the word out. Beginning of next month, and we'll get it out on the repeaters. And where's the sign-in sheet?
Back here. Back here, Jim.
That's right. The other thing is, of course, that every time you sign in to one of our meetings, you earn the right to a ticket for the raffle. And of course, if you attend 12 meetings throughout the year, you get 12 raffle tickets. And they're all distributed as prizes at the picnic. So if you want that brand new FTM 400, so you have a digital mobile rig to use in the fusion repeaters, don't come to the picnic because we're not going to give one to us. Well, that's true. That's true. Okay, folks. Well, let's call it a wrap. 7-3 to everybody, and good luck with the contest.